Hey, let's get started. Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're excited to be hosting this webinar in our International Education Professional Development Series, Recruiting in the Middle East, Insights and Opportunities. My name is Robin Garcha. I'm one of the client directors with IDP Connect in the Canada office. Just a bit of housekeeping before we begin. The slides and the recordings will be shared with you all in a post-webinar email. We do encourage engagement, so throughout the duration of our webinar, please do type in any questions in using the Q&A tool at the bottom of your webinar window, as we have allowed some time for the Q&A. I am thrilled, just the next slide please. I am thrilled to be presenting with my colleague Amith Kumar. Amith is our Regional Senior Destination Manager for Canada and the US. Amith is located in Dubai. Thank you very much for joining us today, Amith. Okay, just to cover today's agenda, so you know the flow of today's webinar, we will start off with sort of a brief introduction of IDP and an overview of the IDP data on the Middle East. I'll then pass it over to Amith to get into a deep dive of the market overview, focusing on a few key countries, as well as marketing tactics for your recruitment. I see a question here. Will this webinar be recorded? Yes, it will be. We'll conclude the webinar with some question and answer. So again, encourage you all to type in any questions that you'd like us to answer. So before we begin, I thought I would just go over a little bit about IDP for those who may be unfamiliar. So IDP is the global leader in international education with a clear focus on building trusted relationships with students, with institutions, and with the sector. We do this on a global scale by placing over 50,000 students a year. It's through our investment in our innovative use of data and digital technology that we've been able to scale and enhance our personal connections. This enables us to deliver global success to more students and partners than ever before. And just as we guide students with expert advice and help them find the right fit institution, we also offer strategic solutions to our institution partners across three main areas: data and intelligence, marketing and recruitment. So whether that's providing you with data and insights to aid in your strategic planning, deliver student volumes that meet your enrollment objectives, or diversifying across student cohorts, or providing efficiencies and qualities for you throughout the funnel from student inquiry to admissions and enrollments, we will work with your institution to deliver tailored solutions. Now, IDP has a physical network of student-facing offices in over 30+ countries, pictured here in red. We send to the major English-speaking destinations, pictured here in yellow. We have over 1,700 counselors throughout our network, so we are truly embedded in the markets in which we operate, and students really trust the IDP name. Now, alongside our physical network, we also do have the largest digital presence of any international education student service provider across our website and global app. In fact, we operate over 40 connected sites, and this is present, seeing in the blue and red bars here. All of our sites and our app are locally hosted, so you can see the .br for Brazil, the .vn for Vietnam, and so forth. We receive over 100 million visits annually through our sites from prospective students. So now, exploring IDP data on the Middle East. So this slide here looks at the growth in IDP applications and enrollments from the Middle East to Canada over the past 3 years. Now, what we have found is steady double-digit growth year over year in both applications and enrollments, demonstrating a strong demand for Canada from the Middle East. In terms of application and enrollments, the top 5 sending countries from the Middle East to Canada are UAE, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Oman. This next slide here shows IDP application and enrollment data from the Middle East to Canada, broken up by popular subject areas and level of study. Now, what we've found is that applications and enrollments lean heavily on the undergraduate side at nearly 50%. We see the top 5 subjects and their percentage growth over the past 3 academic years. As no surprise, the most popular programs are in the fields of business and STEM. However, it's interestingly to see social studies and communications as the 4th most popular subject area. So this next slide here is showing the top of funnel demand using IDP Demand Tracker. So here we look at the top of funnel demand for Canada from the top 5 sending markets according to our applications and enrollments in the region over the past 12 months. We see Pakistan on top throughout most of the year. There is a spike in demand from Egypt in February. There has been like a decline from UAE over time, and Saudi Arabia and Oman have remained fairly stable. So now I will actually pass it over to Amith to provide you with an overview of the market. Over to you, Amith.
Thank you very much, Robin. I realized I was supposed to say hi previously when you introduced me, but I'll say that now. Hello to everybody. Thank you very much for coming in for the session, and it's a pleasure to be here. So starting off, I know Robin has shared the global network, but I wanted to focus a bit more on the operation that we have in the Middle East and Africa region. So just wanted to highlight some of those countries that we have in. You'll notice some of the countries are highlighted with a diamond, a yellow or orange shape. So these are IDP owned offices. So basically we have 2 models in this region. So we have the IDP owned and licensee. IDP owned means it's solely run by us. Licensee, we have a local partner that assists us in the operations. It's in countries such as Kuwait, Iran, Jordan, Bahrain, Lebanon. And this is primarily because in some of those countries, we cannot have a fully invested organization, or sometimes the market is not big enough for us to go all in. So you'll see a few countries have been put in, have been starred. So these are the countries where we are currently looking to expand. So these are potential markets, right? So moving on to the next slide. Just wanted to share key regional updates. So the first update I would like to share is about IDP Pakistan. We have recently, last month, we expanded into 2 other cities, that's Faisalabad and Gujarat area. We are looking to progress into Rawalpindi sometime this year or early next year. That's in the cards. But with Pakistan, yes, we are geographically expanding and trying to reach across the country in that sense, with not only virtually, but also through physical offices as well. So the next point, which you would have already heard about, is that we have acquired Intake, and currently the integration process is going for the Africa region, where Intake has a strong presence. So primarily in this year, we will be integrating all those 3 countries that they have presence in, which is Kenya, Nigeria, and Ghana. Kenya is probably going to be the first one, and you will be hearing from our IDP Connect on the timelines on when the integration will be completed, and then followed by Nigeria and Ghana later this year. So moving on to the next slide. So I wanted to highlight just the study permit approvals for the markets in the Middle East. I know we did a webinar for Africa, so I haven't included them in this here. In this particular slide, you'll notice that I've highlighted 3 countries in orange. Those are our top key or priority countries at this point. So that's Pakistan, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. You'll notice that in UAE and Saudi Arabia, there'll be a majority of students. There will be a majority of students who are expats, right? And that's just the way the market is at this point. The 3 other countries that I've highlighted is Egypt, Turkey, and Iran, is where we are looking to invest more, grow more, and be aggressive in the market. We are doing a bit of rebuilding in Turkey and Iran in terms of the teams, and that's the reason why we have put them as our rising countries for now. With all the others, they do have a substantial market, but these are the 6 top countries that we are focusing on at this point in that sense. So moving on to the next slide. Now, what I wanted to showcase here is to show what the trend is in terms of where we are sending the students, or IDP is sending the students. So you'll notice that the top 3 destinations are Australia, and Canada, and UK for IDP Middle East and Africa. and generally for IDP in a sense, right? And you'll notice that for Australia, between FY20 and FY21, there was a dip, and this is because their borders were primarily closed. And most of those students were coming into Canada and UK, and that's why you see the growth for Canada and UK. But what we have seen lately is that there's been a dip, as you can see in FY22. There's a dip for Canada, and this is continuing in 23. And one of the primary reasons is Australia has been very aggressive in the market. They have, obviously the government have put in their own initiative, but the institutions as such have been doing a lot of engagement with the markets. They've been consistently visiting the market, which is why we have seen this change in trend as well, right? So now moving on to the next slide. I'm not going to go into depth with this particular slide, but just wanted to highlight, obviously, the core market segments for all the countries in the region are undergraduate, postgraduate, and obviously the parents, which are influencers for undergraduate applicants. Now, depending on the market, the study sector differentiates. So, for example, UAE as primarily undergraduate, but if you take maybe Pakistan or Saudi Arabia, you would see primarily postgrad as such, right? But what I really wanted to highlight is the two kinds of students in terms of financials that are in this region. So one is the self-funded students and one is the sponsored students. So countries such as UAE, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the locals are primarily sponsored students. So they mainly study if they have a sponsorship, right? But they are also expats, which primarily form the self-funded cohort in UAE, Oman, Kuwait, and Saudi. But in countries like Egypt, Turkey, and Pakistan, they are primarily just self-funded students. One highlight that I wanted to share, which is a new initiative that was released by the UAE government, is the Kotwa Scholarship. This is primarily for students who will be studying English language, progressing into a diploma or a pathway, and then ultimately this particular project from the UAE government might expand into bachelor degree, but that's still under discussion, or they're still deciding on that. Then the other initiative is from Saudi. Again, at this point, we still need to work on the relationships from a government level, but Saudi has some sponsorships coming through the development of their new city, that's NEOM as well. It's happening. And IDP is we are strongly working with the sponsored bodies on those projects as well. So that's something I wanted to highlight. Just quickly going through some of the study areas, sort of aligns with the data that Robin mentioned, but also just highlighting that a lot of students do look at health science, primarily medicine and dentistry, but they're aspiring for that, right? Not a lot of them tend to then get into it because of either the entry requirements or financials. But we encourage those students who are interested in health science to look at alternative careers in health sciences, engineering, primarily mechanical, civil, electronics engineering, along those lines. Computer science is the up and growing, and it's the key study area at the moment. It's very popular, especially in this region, because of the way the UAE and Saudi governments have been driving a lot of technological innovations and initiatives in the country. So a lot of the students are looking to study AI, data science, IoT, machine learning. And one of the other studies that we have seen grow in some of the countries is sciences, general sciences. From business, there's a drive for entrepreneurship, marketing, in some countries, HR as well. So just to list those. So moving on to the next slide. Now, with this particular slide, I'm not going to talk about Fastlane. Our team, the IDP Connect team, will do that when they meet you. But what I wanted to highlight is the feedback that we are getting from students in our region. Now, they are, the students have been giving, I spoke to some of the officers and they mentioned the students are very happy to, number one, getting the outcomes much faster. That's one. But two, or the main reason is the offer in principle that they receive when they just put their details into our app or our system, or and they get this at least a confirmation that they're eligible to apply. That really sort of helps in converting that student not only to be an applicant but also enroll into the institution. So it's a good driver, and this is the feedback that we're getting from students. And I feel that those who are not on board will probably want to speak to our IDP Connect team on seeing how we can go ahead with that as well. So moving on to the next part. Now, what I'm going to cover here is certain tactics or just what other a lot of institutions are doing. So one thing I wanted to share is key market engagement. I can see that the K of the key is covered, but it means key market engagement. So I wouldn't say you have to focus on all the countries. Focus on your priority markets. Keep the engagement consistent with them. Feel free to reach out to the offices to have refresher trainings or to share updates. And when you're traveling, please do visit the offices. In terms of activities, I'm talking about information sessions if you want to run, or if you want to do any kind of conversion events, we will be working. And whenever we have such events, we'll be inviting for you to attend. And we do understand that you cannot always travel. So we try to look at doing these events in a hybrid fashion as well, where you'll be coming in virtually, but the students are physically at the venue or in our office. Now, with local institution visits, if you're visiting the country or if you're passing through any of those countries, please feel free to let us know. I would encourage you to let us know, because our offices work very closely with a lot of the schools here. And in some of the markets, we are sort of like a primary partner as well. So we can actually, if you give us enough lead time, we can set up a masterclass or a session with the school. So just let us know, and it'll be great to work together in some of those initiatives. Finally, this is quite important because we put a lot of effort and branding behind it, is our Study Abroad Expo. There's a lot of promotion we do, a lot of budgeting we do for this. So it's an event that you should be part of. You do get a lot of branding exposure, and it's the event that we usually use to generate leads as such. I'll be talking more about it in the next few slides. I'll be giving you some insights. So this is from our recent February-March MEA Expo. Just wanted to share both our registration and attendees increased by 8 to 9%. You can see some pictures from the events across the region, but you can see the number of registrations. So it's around slightly over 47,000, and we had over 10,000 attendees across the region. Some of the top countries are UAE, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia. There's a typo error there. It's Saudi Arabia, and then Turkey and the others as well. So just moving to the next slide, just wanted to show, so we also did a bit of data crunching on the kind of students that came to the event, and you'll see that they were around, across the region, 37% were undergrad students. But again, this varies. Say for a country like UAE, you would see more undergrad students as opposed to postgrad. Now, if you look at preferred destinations, there's something I really want to push through, is that Canada is one of the most popular destinations when it comes to not only search across websites, but also when they attend events, right? Second to UK, and some countries very, very close to the UK number as well. So Canada is really strong, and students want to see you at the event. So when I say that you should attend the event, it's not just for us, it's mainly for the students and parents, because they actually want to see you, they want to speak to you, they want to talk to you. So that's the reason why I'm sharing this as well. So moving on to the next slide. Now I showed you some photos, and you'll notice that in the other slide, and you'll see what I wanted to share here is the kind of work that goes behind this event or the Study Abroad Expo, the kind of promotion we do. So we have, for certain markets, radio works very well. So we do campaigns, competitions on radio, we do interviews, and we actually have a live broadcast at the venue. So that's where we also give opportunities for some of the institutions to have an interview with the radio channel. You see from the slide in one of the pictures, we've got the rep from University of Alberta doing the radio interview. So we actually create that kind of environment, atmosphere to happen, and really pushes on. That's the kind of branding we have. Social media, obviously, do a lot of ads, and one of our big gains is from the influencers that come for our event, and they push on. So we generate a lot of leads or students coming through because of those, and obviously use other channels. Before I forget, for social media, we also actually work with you to put some posts on. We actually get you to do a video at which we post. So we actually promote all the institutions that are coming for the event as well. So that's another thing. Other channels, emailers, SMS campaigns. In certain markets like Africa or even in Pakistan, we do print ads because it works there. Then our on-ground team are actively promoting the event with their school partners, institutions, and even ministries for those countries where it's involved. In some cases, we do also involve our PR agency. So I just wanted to showcase the amount of effort and promotion that goes behind this event. That's why we put a lot of emphasis, because it is a big ticket event for us. And we tend to see a lot of students, a lot of new students and applicants as well. Moving on to the next slide. Just wanted to share some of the upcoming dates. You should have received the proposal for the UAE and Middle East. Pakistan will also be, should have been shared as well. So with Africa, we are undergoing the integration. So those dates will be shared soon. But we are just finalizing a few aspects of it. And once it's done, you will receive the proposal. And as mentioned, please register through the IEO platform, which makes it easier for us as well to keep tabs on that. So, and this is probably my last slide. Just some future plans, just running through a few pointers. Obviously, from the Middle East region, our hyper growth, we are focusing on Pakistan because that's where we see we can really grow and really capture some of the market share. Country expansion, Pakistan is already happening. UAE, we might look at some certain cities, but that's again in the cards. From a region expansion, yes, we're always looking at opportunities. We did expand in Turkey. We have Ankara in addition to Istanbul. We scope markets like in Oman, we are scoping Sohar. We do that even in Iran as well. For us, the objective or priority for FY24, FY25 and moving forward is obviously to grow Canada for IDP over and above the market growth as well. So that's where we stand, and we hope you will work with us to get there as well. So open to Q&A. I can see there was a question, the chat. Yeah, I'll just go through the question. What percentage of the student visas are for undergrad university versus K-12 college or graduate level? Graham, we don't get this kind of detailed information from IRCC. Unfortunately, that's the case. They just share the number of study permit approvals. They don't really give a segregation of that. One of the things I'm doing, at least for a few countries where I have connections with the EduCanada, I'm seeing if they can share some correct information. We also find challenges with countries like UAE, where they have a lot of 90% of the students going are expats, but that's not captured under UAE. It's captured, a lot of them are captured under their home countries. So we have had to go to the Trade Commission and see if there's some way we can get that information. At this point, even for UAE, we do a bit of estimation based on different data that we get. So the data is not, I think, from all the immigration bodies, UK provides the best in terms of segregated data. They do it in terms of nationality, they do it in terms of the breakdown in terms of study sector, courses, etc., and universities as well. So, but we are sharing this feedback. It would be great from an institution perspective if you can share the same feedback. It would really help us overall, I guess. Okay, there's something in Q. There was a question by Aziz. Are the MEA upcoming experts primarily in person or virtual? Yes, it is in person because we did virtual during COVID, and post-COVID we tested it, but it doesn't really work. And the outcomes in terms of applicants is very low, but and also attendance. We get a lot of registration, but attendance is not very high. But we moved it to in-person, and this has changed a lot. So we are going to stick to in-person. There'll be events, smaller events that we'll do in a hybrid format. But pure virtual, at this point, I don't think we'll be going to that format in that sense. Okay, there is a question from Ankit. What are the study permit approval data in general for Pakistan? We have seen high refusal rate for students from Pakistan, the same for Canada, specifically at college levels. Yes, when I last checked, I think the data is only available for up to 2021. from IRCC. The approval rate is around, I think around 35-37%. I can say based on what we do, our approval rate at the moment is around 88%. So 88% of the application that we submit get approved. So we are quite stringent with our processing, and we're very careful, and we have been driving. We ensure that the students that can apply are of good quality in that sense. Francisco has a question. You mentioned UAE as an undergraduate market in the Middle East region. What about postgraduate? There is a postgraduate market. I'm not saying that it isn't. So in terms of undergraduate, it's slightly more. So it's probably around maybe 55-45 or 60-40. There is a postgraduate market. It's just that the postgraduate market is very scattered. Some of them are either working, and with the institutions or universities, with them, they don't primarily allow a lot of, we are trying to work with them and to see how we can get some partnerships, but they also deliver postgraduate programs. So at times they do see us as competition, but we are trying to work over that in that sense. To answer your question, what country in the Middle East is more postgraduate oriented? You would see that in Turkey, you would see that in Egypt, Saudi Arabia. Those countries all have that postgraduate students as well. Okay, Saurabh, are you able to share more details about the scholarships from UAE for English language and pathway students? Sure, I can share it, Saurabh. We can also have a call to discuss it, but just to give you an highlight, this scholarship is provided by ministry. It's known as the Rise Up program or Kotwa scholarship. Primarily, the students are being, they are people who have finished schooling and they're going for the next step. They would need to go through the English language first, ESL, because they primarily come with a band of 3 to 4 in IELTS. Obviously then they go into the pathway or diploma UTP in that sense. Additionally, they need to be in homestay accommodation. That's a criteria that has been put up by the ministry. Now, happy to get on a separate call just to discuss and give more details. Just please feel free to reach out to me. I think in the last slide, my details will also be provided. Russia. Russia is a question based on applications coming in from Pakistan. Do you find that it is a college or university? We do have slightly more university applications, but I did check some other data and I do see that it is a college market in addition to university as well. For us at this point, we primarily have slightly more universities, but that's something the team is working on in terms of that sense. But to answer you, yes, it's a mixed market, to be honest. It depends on where. You might want to look at Karachi, which does tend to go, there'll be a lot more people who are affluent. They look at ranking, they look at universities, whereas Islamabad, Lahore will be a mix of colleges and universities in that sense. Ankit, are you able to share the event dates in Pakistan MENA region? I'm not sure if the event page on IDP. Okay. Great, that's fine. I can share that. I've got your email address. I'll get my team to send the event proposal, and you'll have it. Yeah. Thank you, Ankit. Graham, your question on Qatar. Yes, Qatar was absent from the session because we do not have an operation there. We only have IELTS operation. I mean, that's a market we are looking at as a prospective market, but we haven't really owned on it as yet. So I cannot share more than that at this point because we don't have much in terms of information in that sense. Have numbers dropped compared to Kuwait, Jordan, and others, or were they not? At this point, in terms of Qatar, I'll have to go back and look at the data. I wouldn't have that kind of data at this point, right? Russia also, I would like to know, Russia said, I would like to know more about the KSA scholarship, perhaps a September call to also discuss it as well. Yeah, yes, Rasha, happy to get on a call to discuss this and see how we can work on it. In terms of the KSA scholarships, we're just sort of starting to work on that, but I can get more insights on it and share with you as well. Great. Okay. I think there is a few questions in Q&A. Yes, my understanding in terms of visas for Pakistan still being processed in Abu Dhabi or in the new office in Pakistan. The latest update that I had is it has been moved back to Pakistan. It was in Abu Dhabi for a while because I was connecting with the Abu Dhabi office in regards to the visas, but now it's been changed to Pakistan. That's my understanding. I will try and speak to the Trade Commission UAE to get concrete information on this, but I got an update from the on-ground team in Pakistan. They mentioned it's been moved to Pakistan. Will Isam, your other question, will IDP be involved in the transition of the Qatar scholarship students for college to university to complete their degrees? If I'm to answer your question, we are the exclusive partner for the Qatar scholarship from IELTS testing and the institution admission perspective. At this point, they haven't really discussed with us about the students progressing to the university. We'll need to see how they do currently in the college, and then they might make a decision on moving forward. But if it does happen, then yes, we still are in the view of that because our Abu Dhabi office is in constant interaction with the ADEC office on this, and we work very closely with them. Aziz, would it be possible to receive more information via email regarding the September, October? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll share those the expo details as well. Aziz, if you could share your email address, or if you can reach out to our IDP Connect team, they'll be able to share that. Nicole has a question. Could you repeat which area of students come to Canada mostly via sponsorship? So the countries that have sponsored students, for now, you can look at UAE, Oman, Kuwait, Saudi, because of, as I said, because of, again, there needs to be interaction with the governments for the Saudi piece to go forward. But I would recommend as an institution, please connect with the culture attaché in Canada, the Saudi culture attaché in Canada. That's probably a positive move, and maybe they might even look at considering in that sense. But at this point, it's Kuwait, UAE, and Oman. Bahrain, there's not much in terms of sponsorship, so even the Bahrainis tend to self-fund. Sohail, which part of Canada do you see most students from UAE and Pakistan are interested? Okay, if from a region perspective, if I had to take the overall market, you will notice that it is obviously Ontario, British Columbia, then there's Alberta, but there are other provinces which are coming up, and there's been a lot of work that's being done, for example, by Manitoba and Saskatchewan in this region. They've been promoting their provinces from a government level, and we have seen that change coming in. I was just highlighting some states, but it's we can see some changes. Students are seeing what each and every state has to offer, and they're going according to that as well. I think we have answered all the questions.
I don't see any more. Oh, maybe one more.
Aziz,
one more for you, Amith.
Okay. Which one was that? Is that it? Yeah. Can you mention other GCC or MENA government programs that fund their students? Other than the ones I've mentioned, which is UAE, Oman, Kuwait, Bahrain, again, very small, not much that I see. And Saudi, like I said, until that gets better, we might not see the sponsorship. Currently, we're only seeing expat students. But for now, there's other countries that are seeing anything. If you are getting any other, if you're getting any traction from the other, for example, Turkey does have certain sponsor students, but primarily they just seem to be going to UK, a few going to Australia, and that's primarily because their ministries have been working closely with each other. So this has to happen also from a government level as well, some interaction after. For example, Australia in Turkey was because Australia was was discussing this with the government. So that's something just to keep in mind. Great. I think we are done with questions.
I think so. Well, thank you so much, Amith, for your insights. And thank you everyone for typing in your questions and for the engagement. On behalf of IDP and Amith and myself, thank you all so much for participating in today's webinar. As a reminder, the slides and the recording will be shared with you post-webinar. There is also a survey, a brief survey that will appear as we end our session formally. We would love your feedback. It definitely helps us shape future webinars and engagement activities. Again, thank you both. Thank you all so much, and we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to present to all of you.
Bye for now.